Welcome back to the Yay for Business podcast. It's me, Courtney Shaw. This is the first episode I've ever recorded video to. We're trying this out. So if you want to watch the video, make sure you go to the link in the show notes here. Today, the day that this podcast is coming out, is the same day, the same morning that I'm hosting the quarterly planning workshop live. So if you want to sneak in there live, there will also be a replay. You can grab it, go to courtneyshaw.com/quarter so you can get access to that. It's also your last chance to get my quarterly goal tracker for free before we turn it into a paid product, because it's becoming more and more robust, and that's what we're going to do next. Today's episode is called Stop Playing It Safe, Stop Playing Small. And that's what we're going to talk about today. It's going to be what I call a Courtney Smackdown. These are legendary in my mastermind groups. I just consider it being real and being honest with you. But that can be a rare thing, that sometimes people are just placating. And so I'm going to tell you how I see it. And this is because I want you to be successful and I want you to hit the goals that you have. I want to tell you that I'm really sick of watching you play it small. And I was really sick of watching myself play it small too. And I was doing that for a really long time. And I'm going to tell you a little bit about that so you can see how much I deeply, deeply resonate with this pattern. And what is that pattern? The pattern is this. You declare a big goal. Maybe you did at the new year or you have in the past. And then as time went on, you just dissipated, right? Like the energy to that invigoration of I had this big goal. Yeah, let's do it. It just dies out. Life happens. Things get in the way. Things don't go according to plan, or you realize they're harder than you thought. And what we do to make ourselves not feel the cognitive dissonance of what we said and what is happening is we shrink the goal. And so many people, it might be you too, start to avoid goal setting altogether and question the concept of setting goals. And that is hurting you more than anything else. We're not doing this anymore in 2025. I'm not doing this anymore in 2025. And I really hope that you're going to join me, because I got really sick of my own shit. I got sick of watching myself have the same goals year after year after year and have a litany of very valid excuses for why they didn't happen, which all came down to I just wasn't really committed to the goals in the first place, to the extent that I would actually make a plan to make them happen and really say, I'm going to do whatever there is in my power to go for this goal. I want you to imagine yourself at the end of this year. And this is the version of you who has accomplished your big goals for your business. Okay. And I want you to imagine what she is thinking, looking at you right now. She knows that you can do it because she's done it, right? And she knows that this is possible. But with every day that goes by that you shrink down, she's seeing that you're actually taking a different path, a path that is more safe, a path that is smaller, a path that feels less scary, that is more comfortable, that so many of us confuse with alignment and intuition, and it drives me bonkers, but I get it. And she's starting to see herself slip away. It's kind of like in Back to the Future when the timeline shifted and Marty McFly starts to disappear. That's what happens as the quarters go on and we're not taking the actions we need to take and really making the commitment we need to make to declare that we're going to make these things happen, that we're going to do, we're done playing around and we're going to go for it. And there's a few reasons why we do that I'm going to talk about today. But I just want to remind you that your future self is waiting on you. Her very existence depends on you and what you do right now and the decisions that you make. Are you letting fear dictate what happens next? Or are you going for what you really want? Are you allowing yourself to want what you really want? If you keep doing what you've always done, you're going to keep getting the results that you've always gotten. They say that's the definition of insanity, is doing the same thing and expecting different results. And I've plateaued for years I've done that in the past, and I'm done. I was just sharing with my Courtney for a Quarter clients, which, by the way, enrollment is now open for the Magic Quarter and my very limited spots to work with me one-on-one in Courtney for a Quarter. And I like to be I like to share behind the scenes as much as I can with my clients on what's going on for me. And one of the things I just sent them a whole voice memo about in Slack was that I'm going into more visibility in Q2. And it's amazing and wild for me to sit with the feelings I have in my body as I declare that on what I know is going to be a public podcast episode, that I'm going for visibility. I have the chills. That's alignment for me is always the chills. And I feel nervous and I feel excited about it. I know that I'm willing to declare it because I'm committed to it. I'm committed to doing this because I know this is what I need to do to hit my goals that I've set using the exact same process that I teach you, that I'm teaching at the workshop, and that I'm really going to show you how to do inside of the Magic Quarter, which, by the way, is now open for enrollment. You can get the details in the show notes, around below this episode, wherever. Okay. And I know that I could shrink and I could play it safe, but I'm deciding not to. And I'm facing the discomfort of what's coming up for me is this feeling like I'm too messy and unorganized and forgetful to go for that I'm going to start dropping balls again. That's really what's coming up for me, which is so interesting given that this is the work I'm now focused on, is helping you all to figure out what balls you do need to have in the air and let go of the rest. And so of course, that's what's coming up for me. Of course, I'm teaching what I need to learn. This program is the epitome of that. Okay. And I've always played it safe. I've always played it safe because I know I'm smart. I know I can get a good grade. I know I can do well, but I don't push myself to go for what I really, really want because I'm so scared of it not happening. And this happened, back when I was a figure skater. I remember that I was on a synchronized skating team. Look that up if you don't know what that is. It's the most amazing sport ever. I was a synchronized skater and I didn't push myself to be the best. I pushed myself enough to stay where I was comfortable in the pack. And I would watch my friends, my teammates, surpass me because they were willing to put in the work and commit to being a lot better at what they were doing. And I just wasn't. It's the reason why I never won a gold medal. I have silver, bronze, pewter. I have plenty, but I never won a gold medal ever in figure skating. There's a reason for that. I felt safer not going for the top of the podium. I felt safer knowing I've achieved something, but I don't have to put the pressure on myself to be the best. When I decided to apply for colleges, I only applied to schools I knew I would get accepted to. And I told myself that it was scary, but it wasn't. I didn't really push myself to do what was actually scary. And so what I'm exploring right now is pushing myself to do things that make my stomach ill with nerves, to be in the space that my skin is crawling, not because I'm out of alignment, but because I'm doing something I've never done before, something that is triggering me, something that is making me intensely uncomfortable, and I'm going for it anyway. And I'm pushing myself into that a little bit slowly because I don't want to, freak out and snap backwards, which is ironic given some of what I'm going to talk about today. But I'm pushing myself to go for more. I'm pushing myself to do the things that are uncomfortable. So I want to talk to you about the 3 problems, the 3 reasons you're playing small, the 3 stories that I see playing out, and I can resonate with each of these, okay? So story number one is you don't want to be disappointed if or when you don't hit the goal. By the way, disappointment is totally up to you. The same person, 2 different people could go after the same goal, have the same result, and feel completely differently about it. That's how we know it's drama, not data. Data is based on an irrefutable fact that is true in any circumstance, whenever, right? Drama is when we add our own perspectives and personal experiences onto things. It doesn't mean that it's not true. It means that it doesn't have to be true. It doesn't have to be that way. You can decide that you are disappointed by not hitting a goal, but if you don't want to be disappointed, the solution is not to lower the goal or avoid goal setting altogether. The solution is to just decide that if you don't hit the goal, you're not going to be disappointed. You're not a victim to that. You get to own like that psychology. You get to take ownership back over the meaning that you make out of things. How? Practice. It all takes practice. And this is really what we're going to do inside of the Magic Quarter is create a container for you to do this work, for you to set the goal, kind of wobble around. Not my client Amy always says that I'm wobbling, right? Like I'm having wobbly moments where that are kind of like, pushing me off of my rocker here. I'm not going to fall down, but it's like, it's pushing me, right? Like I'm not on my center. You're going to wobble, you're going to feel uncomfortable. And then we're going to help you to not make it mean something it doesn't have to mean anymore. That fear of not hitting the goal is preventing you from experiencing the life that you want and hitting the goals that you have, because the goals that you have are about creating the life that you want. And that future you at the end of the year or 5 years from now, 10 years from now is starting to disappear and be a different path based on the decisions that you are making today. Are you going to go for it? And if not, why not? You better have a good effing reason not to go for it, because staying safe cannot be it. All right. When I was in skating and I didn't work harder to improve my skills past where I felt like I'm pretty good, but like to like really stay up on my team, the other skaters passed me in skills to the point that I was on a team one year and the next year I tried out, I would have been an alternate on the same team because I didn't grow at the rate that the team was growing. And that sucked. When I was applying to colleges and I only applied to safe schools, that's fine. I had a great college experience, but who knows what I could have done or where I could have gone if I had taken more risks. And you could play out the rest of your life that way. I'm not saying you should sit here and have regrets, but I want to see how this pattern has been limiting my life experiences. What exactly was I afraid of? Rejection, discomfort. Okay? If I can take back my power so that I can feel uncomfortable with rejection and discomfort, but I'm not going to let it control me. Now I'm in charge again. Okay? So the second problem, the second story, the second pattern that I see playing out is you're going for incremental improvement because it feels like you know for sure you can do it. Now, let me just say, there is a time and a place for incremental improvement. I know that Denise Duffield-Thomas in her book, Get Rich Lucky Bitch, and also in her Money Bootcamp, which I took 10 years ago and still highly recommend, talks about like the incremental upgrade, right? Like it's great to like have this sort of constant incremental upgrades that you're making in your life to start to trick your subconscious into expecting it, because what can happen when you go for something big is your subconscious snaps back because it's programmed for what you had before. And that's really what's happening with our goals too. Setting our goals is not the time for incremental improvement. That is not what goals are for. Goals are for pushing us beyond what we know for sure we can do so that we start acting differently. Incremental improvement is for updating something you're already doing. But if you have a bigger dream, you have to at some point push for a quantum leap. You have to push to put yourself on a different timeline for your life, a different trajectory for where you're going. There's a great book called 10x is easier than 2x. Highly recommend it. I've listened to the audio twice and read the whole thing once at least. Like I refer to it all the time. And this is the whole concept of that book, is that going for 2x, which by the way is not incremental, it's double, is harder. It's harder because what you do when you're going for 2x is you try to just do more of what you're already doing, but more of it, just twice as much. And this is what happens when I see entrepreneurs want to increase their revenue. They're just like, okay, well then I just need to have 30% more clients and 40%. Like they're not thinking fundamentally differently to get to 2x than they would to 10x, right? And so in order to go where I'm trying to go, I'm going to have to do something I've never done before. I'm going to have to think differently. I'm going to have to push the limits of my own, as my client was telling me about, she was reading a book where it was talking about like your own self-image, your own self-concept. You won't do things outside of your self-concept. So one of the quotes in 10x is easier than 2x is, to make a goal effective, you've got to test its outer limits. Push it out as far as you can. Only once you make your goal impossible will you stop operating based on your current assumptions and knowledge. Okay. Incremental improvement is not going to cut it. You're just going to be like, if I, take 10 clients, I'll take 15 and now I just have to work more. That's not a fundamental difference in how you're thinking. That system needs to break in order for you to truly get to the next level. All right. But we're afraid of breaking systems because we see that as a failure. It's not, it's growth. Problem or pattern number 3 is that you are spending way too much identifying with what's actually your inner critic. You are taking it way too seriously and you don't even realize it. We all have an inner critic. Some are louder than others. Mine is getting very quiet at this point. And the reason why is because I don't feed her. I don't give her attention. I don't suppress her. I just ignore her, which is, by the way, exactly what you're supposed to do to get a narcissist to leave you alone. It's called gray rocking. You basically make yourself totally uninteresting to that person. You don't feed them, you don't ignore them, you don't attack them because that just gives more. I don't resist the inner critic. I just go, interesting, move on. To the point that it's just not even a part of my life that much anymore. But when I'm talking to clients and when I'm talking to people I work with and friends that I have who are constantly feeling stuck in the same thing, it always ends up being they have this voice in their head that is making them feel really small and they're listening to it. The definition of growth is discomfort. And when you try to grow, your inner critic is going to get loud because why? Because it's trying to keep you safe where you are right now. It is not your intuition. It is not your out of alignment. Don't listen to the chatter. The chatter is not it. It's the gut. It's the gut feeling. I like to call it, it's a feeling in my bones. When I have a feeling in my bones, I know that there's nothing that can question it. If you're uncomfortable and just feeling like jostled around a bit and you're feeling out of sorts, that's not like because you're doing the wrong thing. It's because you're uncomfortable because you're probably doing something that you've never done before. So for a while, you need to let your inner critic get louder. Avoid feeding it. Try noticing it neutrally. It's a voice of fear. It'll get loud when you set a big goal, but the whole point is you set a goal based on something you actually want, and you decide what things you need to do to get there. And when you do those things, you're going to be scared. By definition, by the literal definition of the concept, you're going to be scared. And when you're scared, your inner critic is going to get louder. And what you have to do is know that in advance and be prepared. And this is what we talk about in the Magic Quarter, is how we adjust as we go, because we can set all the plans we want. That's the first step of the process, right? This quarterly planning workshop. This is the first step, is that we all miss, by the way. We don't do this either, but we set a really solid plan. But where rubber meets the road is then as the weeks start to come at us and things do not go according to plan, what do you do then? And you're going to be shocked. You're listening to this right now. Some people are listening to this going, yeah, okay, got it. Cool, awesome. And you are going to be amazed when you step into quarter 2 and you start working towards those goals that you have a great plan for, and you're going to be amazed how much shit hits the fan and how hard it is mentally. And you're going to wish that you had some support during that time. And that is what the Magic Quarter and Courtney for a Quarter are all about. It's just the level of support that you're ready for, or want, or needing, or desire at this time, right? I see myself as the bumpers in a bowling alley, that my job as a coach, as a program creator, is to create the bumpers to keep you going in the right direction. Some people are going to go back and forth, zigzag a lot. My job is just to do everything I can to keep you from jumping into the next lane, because if you stay in the lane you're in, even if you zigzag back and forth, I'm there to go, hey, don't go so far, right? Like stay in this lane. You will hit the pins. You will end up hitting within the bounds of your goal, right? It might not be the exact goal. It's very rare that people hit the literal exact goal that they have, but you will hit the pins. You will be in the zone. All right. That is what it is all about. So by the time you listen to this episode, it might be after the quarterly planning workshop. If it's not, if you're listening to it like right when it's coming out, you could join us today for the live workshop at 10 a.m. Pacific, which is 1 p.m. Eastern time. at courtneyshaw.com/quarter. If you want to register for that, go there to get the replay as well. But I want to invite you at this point to consider enrolling in the Magic Quarter, or if there are still spots, to grab a spot in Courtney for a Quarter if you want to work with me one-on-one. If you just are at a level where you're like, I want that one-on-one support, I'm ready to go all in. Enrollment is open for both. The Magic Quarter is my brand new program where I'm going to teach you my process fully, not just for like pulling the right goals out of your vision, so getting clear on your vision, then like getting the right strategies in place and breaking those down, putting times on all those, we call them the pizza slices, right? The milestones that you need to hit, mapping them out on your quarterly tracker, moving them onto your calendar. That's all the setup stuff. That's all great. Then we get into the action. It's live, the quarter's happening. How do we adjust as we go? How do we adjust when we hit one of the four main obstacles that people hit? What about when I get new ideas? What if I'm not hitting my results? What do I do then? What if I'm freaking out because I'm going for something I've never done before and I don't know how to do it? I'm going to empower you with all of the tools in the Magic Quarter. And we'll also have 4 what I'm calling micro quarter calls to keep you on track. Those are the bumpers. So those will be every micro quarter, which is every 3 weeks in a quarter. Like a yearly quarter, it's every 3 months, right? And a micro quarter is based on weeks. So it's every 3 weeks we will have a live group call where we will adjust plans. We'll go through the process to keep you on track. Again, towards the goal, adjusting the plan as needed to keep you on track and addressing the mindset stuff that comes up as we go. Now, if you want more, if you are like, that sounds great, but I like actually want to work with you, then there are a limited number of spots to work with me in Courtney for a Quarter for the next 3 months to be your personal business coach. We base the structure on the Magic Quarter process. So we're still doing the quarterly structure. You get access to all the Magic Quarter stuff, but you also get access to all of my programs for the 3 months that we're working together. Yes, every single one. Not only that, my Courtney for a Quarter clients get 6 60-minute one-on-one calls with me. That's every other week for the entire quarter. And on top of that, you get feedback on anything you want feedback on, marketing assets, sales pages, funnels, emails, all kinds of stuff, right? Whenever you want, right? So this is where you get an all access pass to me, to working with me, to my programs, etc. There are very limited spots for Courtney for a Quarter because it does require a lot of my personal time. Now, if you decide to enroll in the Magic Quarter before March 26th, you will save $100 on your enrollment. So make sure to check that out before March 26th at 5 p.m. Pacific. And you can get all the details about both programs at courtneyshaw.com/magic. Thank you so much for joining me here today. We'll see how this video podcast thing goes. It does require like some level of getting ready and like having a clear background, but I really like being able to see video clips from people's podcasts. So we'll see if this is a layer that I add on to my weekly content system, which by the way, I talk about in the Magic Quarter. It all goes back to the process in there. It's just the container for everything I do in my business goes back to the Magic Quarter. We'll see if this is an add-on that I want to commit to. I don't know. Well, I'm not sure about that yet. But I thought it'd be fun for this one. And I would love to work with you over the next quarter to help you to reach your goals. So if you have any questions at all about the Magic Quarter or Courtney for a Quarter, go ahead and email me at hello@courtneyshaw.com or just send me a DM on Instagram. I'm happy to like voice memo back and forth with you. We can talk about your goals. We can see if it's a good fit. We can talk about sort of like the problems that you run into when you're goal setting or like specific things that you're wanting help with. And we'll take it from there. All right. Have a wonderful week and I will chat with you next time.